All right, it's been 2 years since Halloween Kills came out in theaters, and now that we've had some time to digest it, let's talk about the middle child in the Blumhouse trilogy. Halloween Kills is directed by David Gordon Green and stars Jamie Lee Curtis back again to try to finish off Michael Myers for good. To say that Halloween Kills had some pretty big shoes to fill after Halloween 2018 would have probably been a little bit of an understatement, because Halloween 2018 is generally regarded as a pretty damn good movie, and it's also the highest grossing slasher movie ever made. But before we talk more about Halloween Kills, I do want to mention this will be a spoiler review. Also, I want to hear your thoughts down in the comments down below. What your thoughts are on Halloween Kills. Did you love it? Did you hate it? Are you kind of in the middle? Do you think it was a good kind of middle child in this Blumhouse trilogy? Let me know in the comments down below. I want to first start off by saying this is the second movie that James Jude Courtney has played Michael Myers in, and I honestly think that 20 years from now, we will really look back and say how damn good this Michael Myers was. I think James Jude Courtney is fantastic in all three of these movies, and just does, we're talking about Halloween Kills, does a really good job in Halloween Kills as well, and I know he gets a lot of love already, but like I said, I think many, many years from now, we will look back and say, yeah, that was a pretty good Michael Myers. So in Halloween Kills, we start off answering one of the biggest questions from Halloween 2018, and that was, is Hawkins actually dead? And we come to find out he's not actually dead. Then boom, right after that, we get into, in my opinion, what I think is the best part of the entire movie. So as we get into the flashback, I like that we get a tiny bit more on kind of Michael's childhood. It's not too much though, but it's enough that it's interesting and it kind of keeps Michael still mysterious while also revealing a little bit more about his character's backstory. I also have to shout out Richard Wright in the art department on this production, who just did an incredible job just researching the original sets from the movie and kind of helping to replicate these sets in this new kind of flashback scene. And also the director of photography on the production, Michael Simmons, who even went back and talked to Dean Cundy, the cinematographer from the original Halloween, and got some tips on just how to light it and just kind of some technical conversations on like the camera work and just kind of how the characters should be to make it so similar to the original Halloween. But really the whole flashback is just really damn good. It also just has some great fall Halloween vibes to it, which I really love. I also need to shout out Aaron Armstrong, who played Michael Myers in the flashback. They needed somebody who was a little bit younger than James Jude Courtney, who's 65 years old when the movie was made, and I think he did a really good job playing Michael, even though it was a limited role. I also gotta say the crew did an incredible job rebuilding the Myers house and the whole flashback scene. I think they nailed every little detail from 1978 and just really made you feel like you were going back in time. Now, as great as the flashback is, it's not perfect in every way. There is that one scene where Hawkins and the other officer, like Hawkins just got done chasing Michael Myers for a second, and then they just kind of go off and just have a chat about Michael Myers' childhood. They don't like keep trying to chase him or anything like that. That whole scene was a little bit weird and definitely felt like not such a good idea. Why would a cop be doing that? There's also another scene in the Myers house, which is a very tense moment. You got Hawkins and McCabe. They're both in the house and they hear footsteps upstairs, and you can just immediately feel the tension kind of raise in the scene. But then Hawkins is kind of like laughing and complaining about spider webs being in his face. And then shortly after that, McCabe knows that there's somebody upstairs and it's probably Michael Myers, but yet he just casually walks over to the window and starts just like remembering memories from the past. I mean, McCabe, you kind of deserve to die. But it's really kind of just a microcosm of kind of like the stupid character decisions that we'll see later on in the movie. Then I've also got to say they do a damn good job with the Loomis actor. And it's all completely practical too. They just had a construction coordinator on set that they thought like really looked like Loomis. So they're like, hey man, we'll throw you in there. And then had a comedian named Colin Mahan doing the voiceover for Loomis. But just the entire Loomis thing I thought was clearly a deep fake, but Then I learned that it was all practical, and I was like, wow, that is pretty damn impressive. Now, as a fan of the Halloween series, of course, I love callbacks to earlier Halloween movies. We get the Halloween 3 masks in this movie and a lot of other things. But I do think in Halloween Kills, it's just a little heavy-handed with the whole callback thing. I think it just becomes a little bit too much at times. And then in the end, there's not a lot of payoffs to those characters, which I do think was kind of a little bit of a letdown to me. I also did really like seeing Anthony Michael Hall in the movie, who's an 80s icon, was in a ton of 80s movies that I loved as a kid. It was great seeing him as Tommy in the movie. However, I did think it was kind of funny that Anthony Michael Hall, a guy who traditionally plays nerds in the 80s, is now playing this more of like a tough guy, almost like a football coach kind of a guy. I just thought that was kind of funny and stood out as something a little bit weird to me. I didn't hate it, but just kind of a funny aspect of the movie. All right, and next I really have to talk about the whole firefighter scene, which I know for a lot of people is one of their favorite parts of this entire movie. But for me, this is where the movie really got kind of weird. This is where my spidey senses kind of started to tingle a little bit and let me know that we're gonna start seeing some shit in this movie that kind of didn't make any sense to the Michael Myers character we've come to know over many, many years. Now, don't get me wrong, the gore is fucking awesome. Like when Michael stabs that guy with a pickaxe through the firefighter's face in the basement, I was enjoying the hell out of that. But I mean, like when the guy was spraying him with the hose, it looked like he was like spraying him with a kid's squirt gun. That was kind of weird. I also thought the choreography was just not really that great in this scene. Michael was moving like an old man, and I know he's kind of supposed to be old at this point, but it just made it feel a little less believable. An old man easily killing these young, probably really strong firefighters was a little bit weird to me. There's a moment there where he kind of looks hunched back and really slow. I don't know, to me it's kind of an inner battle of like, I really, really love the gore. I'm loving that aspect of it. But on the other hand, I'm kind of like, this doesn't feel like Halloween at all to me. When did Michael Myers become like Arnold in Commando? It just felt very weird for a Halloween movie, Michael taking on all of these people. I'm just more used to Michael stalking, creeping through the shadows, kind of picking people off one by one. And to me, in this scene, I think I would have enjoyed it more if maybe the firefighters came to put out the fire and Michael had kind of snuck out a back door and maybe saw a firefighter or two and kind of pecked them off and then made his way throughout the rest of the story. I think that would have just been better for me in general. You could have made those two kills like really unique and gory in themselves. But this whole like, I'm just gonna take on 20 people at once is a little bit weird to me and kind of immediately let me know that we were in store for something weird, probably for the rest of this movie. I mean, damn, what were they feeding Michael when they had him locked up for all those years? There must be a shit ton of protein in that oatmeal. Like, what was going on? This old guy can do some damage. And shortly after, we see Laurie in the hospital and they're doing their kind of dramatic thing, washing the blood off their hands. We get some more monologues and things like that. We get one of the better like kill sequences in the movie with the older couple who actually like, I see myself being like that one day, you know, just having some Cheez-Its and some wine. It sounds like a great night to me, but this is a brutal kill and a pretty damn enjoyable one too. I like how Michael kind of like tests out the knives on the older guy while she's watching. That whole sequence of Michael and the guy with the knives is out of frame and blurry, which is amazing. And then you're just kind of focused more on like her silhouette. I just think that shot, just the way that's all pulled off is really, really damn good. I really, really enjoyed that. And then the light bulb through her neck is a brutal kill and just an example of a kill that you can do in a Halloween movie that's unique, not too over the top and unbelievable, but it's kind of just unique enough to make it fun. I also think that this scene just feels very much like Michael Myers. I know there's a lot of moments in this movie that don't really feel like a traditional Halloween movie, but this scene in particular to me does feel like a traditional Halloween moment. Michael's kind of stalking, escaping a moment that he was in before, comes across two older people and just says, all right, you know, fuck it, let's kill him. And then shortly after this, we cut to the bar again and we get to see the news on the TV showing the recent murders and stuff like that, which I think was a good choice by David Gordon Green to do because it kind of also makes you feel as an audience like you're there, like you're just watching your local news and something crazy went down, and that's something we can all probably relate to. Obviously not Michael Myers murdering people in our our town, but just something on your local news that happens to get turned on and you're like, whoa, that's kind of crazy. I never thought that would happen in this town. I do have to mention though, the dipshit guy dressed as the doctor with his wife who's dressed as the nurse and they're like switched or whatever. I don't really like that guy. I'm not gonna lie. He also wins the award probably for shittiest husband in this entire movie. Like, you know, they just told you on the news that there's a murderer on the loose, an escaped mental patient, 2 of them, and you're just gonna like walk back inside when you're in a dark parking lot next to a dive bar and go back inside to grab like a $2 stethoscope and potentially let your wife get murdered? Worst husband, you're not getting laid tonight. Oh, and then we can't forget in this scene that Nurse Marion starts us off with a little Evil Dies Tonight chant. So thanks, Marion, for starting that. Oh, and by the way, they should have known that wasn't Michael driving that car and then crashing. Come on. Michael is just like a naturally gifted driver. He never drove in his entire life, we don't think. But in Halloween 1978, he was driving pretty damn good.
Hey, jerk! Speed kills!
I also enjoy the whole like Big John, Little John couple. They seem like a cool couple that really cares about each other and has some fun together, has some good banter. I mean, you know, Big John just wants to smoke a joint and listen to some music on Halloween. Like, what's so wrong with that? But I enjoy their whole aspect. I thought they were kind of funny. Yeah, it's a little silly for a Halloween movie, but I enjoyed it. You know what I mean? I'm also a fan of Michael McDonald. I mean, I grew up on Mad TV. I think most probably guys my age probably watched a lot of Mad TV, so I've always been a fan of Michael McDonald, so it was cool seeing him in this movie. I will say though, as much as I like the whole Big John, Little John like character aspect in the movie, the way that they die started to really veer this movie into satire to me. The way that they're just kind of like, Big John, Little John, where are you? In a very tense moment, like you'd throw all that shit out to the side. You're just like, Bob, where the fuck you at, Bob? Oh shit, he's stabbing me. You know what I mean? You wouldn't still be doing this, Big John, Little John. So it was just kind of an indication of where the rest of the movie was going with this whole like satire, comedic approach to it. Whether it was intentional or not, I'm not really sure, but it just kind of gave you a little preview on what else you were gonna see. Now, as most of you already know, Halloween Kills is very much about kind of like the town banding together to defeat this evil and to defeat Michael Myers together, right? And I really enjoy that aspect on how it's kind of tipping its cap a little bit to Halloween 4 in a way, how the Halloween 4 town members, you know, as stupid and goofy as they might have been, you know, it's kind of a little bit of a similarity between these two movies, which I did enjoy. All right, and next I want to talk about the park scene with a lot of the legacy characters. You've got the nurse and the doctor guy, and then some more of the legacy characters who are now at this park on their way to just look for Michaels. Now, I do really like how this whole scene is shot. You've got some of like the whole like street lights coming in, and I just like how it's all shot. It's dark, but it's not too dark, so you can still see a lot of the action. However, there are some things in this scene that were definitely a little hard for me to watch. First of all, Lindsay's like, I'm gonna fill this pillowcase with bricks. Like that's gonna do anything against Michael fucking Myers. And then we get the kind of overused trope, in my opinion, where Nurse Marion's like, this is for Dr. Loomis, and then tries to shoot him and it just clicks. There's no more bullets in there. Can we just kind of be done with that? I did like the knife through the eye kill. That was a fun one. But where the hell did the guy's wife go? She was gone for like 30 seconds. Where did she go? And then now she's coming back, and then she shoots herself in the face, which is one of those moments where definitely the theater, you know, got a big reaction out of that moment. But like I said, I think this whole scene is shot well, but there's definitely some moments in the scene where you're just like, really? And then we get another like kind of overused trope where Lindsay's full sprinting away from Michael Myers and can't outrun the guy that's just walking. This is 2021 when this movie came out. Are we still using that? I guess we are. Or Michael's just teleporting, I don't know which one. And then she doesn't keep running, she just tries to hide for some damn reason, which also doesn't make any sense. I also enjoy here in this scene, shortly later, we get to see the bodies displayed with the Halloween 3 masks. It also kind of like hints at the whole childlike fascination that Michael has with the people that he's killed. He kind of like sets them up almost like there is action figures as a kid, which is just another thing that kind of hints at him, kind of how Michael is just a kid like trapped in a, you know, grown-up's body. Now, I've got to talk about another big controversial moment in the movie where Michael's roommate from the asylum comes to the hospital. This is definitely something that's very controversial. A lot of people have had a lot of problems with this in the movie. But to me, it's actually not that bad to me. I really don't have that big of a problem with it. Most of the people who were a part of the mob chasing the guy didn't even see him, so you can't really just, say, oh, he's too short, he doesn't look like Michael Myers. You know how mobs are? They kind of just are like, oh, wait, follow. Let's go over there. That seems like a good time. Next, I want to talk about a moment that kind of happens around this time where Laurie figures out that basically her entire life has kind of been a lie, that Michael, no, is not coming after you. You just kind of happen to be in his way. Because if you remember, Halloween 2 is not a part of this timeline where, we find out that Michael and Laurie are brothers, sisters. That's not a part of this timeline. And Laurie, for some reason, thinks that Michael is still coming after her. This whole thing is just weird to me. There were so many opportunities earlier on in the story where people could have told Laurie. Laurie was kind of asking for this information kind of in a way. She kept saying like, Michael's coming for me. I'm gonna be ready. Michael's coming for me. And nobody decided to tell her. And now Hawkins tells her. It just felt like it was so late, which was kind of a weird story choice and something that was very, very distracting to me. Now, remember earlier when I mentioned there were some stupid character decisions throughout the movie coming up. Yeah, we already did talk about the park scene, which was littered with stupid character decisions. And now next we're gonna talk about the Myers house with Mr. Elam and Allison and her little boy toy, ex-boyfriend, boyfriend, whatever you wanna call him, right? But this whole scene was also littered with stupid decisions. First of all, why is there just 3 of you? None of you know how to operate a gun, really. I mean, maybe Allison does because of, her family being so into guns and protecting themselves. But this whole scene was weird. It's also the Myers house. Why is there no one else at the Myers house? You would think this would be a big location as a potential place that Michael's gonna come home, right? You would think. It's been in his history before that he returns back to his house. But luckily, even though we get a lot of these stupid decisions, we do get some fun aspects to this moment. We get to see Big John, Little John displayed like they were in their picture. That was enjoyable to me. I enjoyed that. Also tips its cap to Michael's fascination with the people that he kills. So that was cool. And also Allison's little ex-boyfriend's kill was also a fun one for me. I enjoyed how Michael kind of like puts his head through the banister and you kind of think, oh, he's almost dead. He's getting there. And then Michael like walks down the stairs towards Allison and then is like, psych, I'm finishing him off. And then he snaps his neck brutally. I thought that was fun, and I thought that was well shot and well executed as just a scene in general, despite those bad character decisions. Now, I have mentioned throughout Ends and throughout Kills, which are the 2 movies in this trilogy that I've reviewed. I haven't done 2018 yet, but I have mentioned many times how I really, really respect and enjoy the way both of those movies are shot. I think they're shot fantastically well. They look really good. The lighting's really cool and creepy and stuff like that. But the next scene is an exception to that. I think this is the worst shot scene in the entire trilogy to me, which is the big Haddonfield versus Myers fight scene. I do think the music, when it kicks in this scene, is really, really good. I love that. Amazing. I also love seeing Michael put on the mask. You can kind of see his burns on his face. Really damn good. Love that. But this whole thing, it's just Michael can like barely reach for his knife after getting hit a bunch of times and beat up. And we got to get rid of this whole Laurie's monologue about like, the more he kills, the more he transcends. Just get rid of that. We don't need that. But these shots of this whole battle, it's just like these super zoomed in close-ups of each kill, a lot of them in slow motion. It's like, here, it's your turn, and then it's my turn, and then it's your turn. And then Tommy, this character that we've built up this entire movie, just swings and gets stabbed in the titty. Kind of lame to me. I wish he would have put up way more of a fight. Then we get towards the end of the movie, how Michael, I guess, sneaks in the back door of the Myers house, and then Karen's upstairs staring out the window, and he kills Karen. Kind of glad that he killed Karen. Not a huge fan of her character, I'm not gonna lie. But this is where kind of the 2 endings, the extended cut and the normal ending, kind of differ from here. So the extended cut, the phone rings, Michael picks up the phone, and Laurie hears Michael breathing, and Laurie's like, I'm coming for your ass. In the theatrical ending, that doesn't happen. Laurie is kind of like sensing something's wrong, almost like a Jedi thing. She's kind of like sensing that her daughter was recently killed. She's staring out the windows while Michael's staring out the windows. Now, the extended cut doesn't really make a lot of sense with Halloween Ends because Halloween Ends takes place 4 years later, right? I think with Halloween Ends, the theatrical ending is much better. But I enjoyed both endings just on their own, not considering Halloween Ends as a movie. But I think both endings are pretty good. All right, now here are my final thoughts on Halloween Kills. I think it's pretty apparent to me that originally there wasn't much of a plan for 3 movies. And it kind of seems like Halloween Kills, in a way, had a lot of filler throughout most of the movie. To me, I would have really enjoyed this trilogy. I enjoyed the trilogy regardless, in some ways, some goods and some bads. But I would have really enjoyed this trilogy if it wasn't a trilogy, if it was just 2 movies and it ended with Halloween Kills. And I wish they would have kind of tried to top the ending in Halloween H2O, which to me is just a really damn good finality to kind of the Myers and Laurie Strode timeline in a way. I wish they would have tried to top that in Halloween Kills and just combined it. That would have been great to me. But overall, I'd probably say half this movie doesn't even really feel like a Halloween movie to me. I remember the first time I saw this, I was kind of like, whoa, what was that? There were some great things in there, and there was some stuff that was like veering this into like being a satire movie, which was very different than the 2018 tone, which was more serious and more like grounded in reality in some ways. And I enjoyed 2018 much more than I did Halloween Kills. But overall, you know, I don't know if I would say it's a terrible movie, but it's probably my least favorite in the trilogy. With that said, I'm giving Halloween Kills a C- for entertainment, a B+ for the kills, and overall a 7 out of 10. But thanks so much, everybody, for watching my review of Halloween Kills. I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you subscribe and like the video, and maybe share it with a friend as well. I'd really appreciate that. Also, go and check out another video on my channel next to me here if you want to watch some more horror content from me. But anyways, everybody, thanks again, and I will see you in the next one.